this event as we introduce the Small Business Association and D9 partnership to the South Florida community. On May 10th, 1930, on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C., the National Panhellenic Council was formed as a permanent organization with a clear mission to impact communities collectively. Two of our objectives include working cooperatively with and contribute to other community groups, and to provide unity and economic empowerment through and by the members. As you can see, tonight, the Small Business Association is here. We are fulfilling our mission. This event is designed to inform, influence, and ignite this community to do great work that will impact lives and future generations. We have some distinguished guests here tonight that will assist with providing valuable information about the resources available to you. Now, at this time, I would like to introduce Miss Veronica Williams, the mayor of the great city of Opa-locka and a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Let's give her a round of applause as she welcomes the Small Business Association and D9 members.
Good evening, everyone. This is so beautiful. Welcome to the great city of Opa-locka. And not only am I so thrilled to be the mayor here, but I'm also a member of the most illustrious Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I cannot begin to say, and I'm going to just be brief so that I don't hold up the process, but small businesses in our community is what make us flourish and thrive. And so having this opportunity here in our city lets us know not only does it bring and bridge an economic impact to the city, but it also helps our residents. It helps us as a community thrive of Black and Brown people. So I cannot begin to say thank you. Welcome for being here in our city. And if there's anything that you need from me or from any of us here in the great city, we are always here and our doors are always open. Thank you.
Let's give our mayor a round of applause. Yes, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Thank you, Madam Mayor. At this time, I'm going to bring up Mr. Thomas, our Southeast Region 4 Administrator, just to give us an overview of our mission and why we're here this evening.
Thank you, President Gibbons. Thank you so much. It's always good to have the mayor here as well. We appreciate her letting us use her chambers and be a part of this and launch this right here in Opa-locka. I'm going to tell you right now, those of you who got cameras, take a picture, because what you're going to experience tonight is going to be a legacy opportunity. Warren and I and everyone here on this panel is very proud of what this moment means. We'll look back on this in a number of years and realize that this was on this day, in this evening in Opa-locka, we launched something that created generational wealth across this country. So understand you are at the initial headwaters of something very special. There has never been a strategic agreement between the Divine Nine and the National PHC and the Small Business Administration. Why? You'll have to ask those in the past. All I can tell y'all is when I ran for mayor, the first people I ran to was the D9. We already knew each other. We went to school together, long friends of mine for many, many decades. They love the communities they're in. They make intentional changes in the community that they are in, and they believe in the future of not just families and communities, but this country. And 2.5 million people don't play. I'll put it that way. And when I was so fortunate to have a White House appointment to be the administrator for the Southeast United States, I called a good friend, President Chris Ray of Phi Beta Sigma, and I said, my friend, the mission of SBA and of this administration, the Biden-Harris administration, is to get measured and intentional about those that have not been reached, who should have been reached, because this nation is only successful when our best and our brightest, and those who can bring the opportunity and those who are willing to work, are at the table and have the opportunity to succeed. Therefore, we met with the National Panhellenic Council of Presidents and came in an accord to put a national agreement together to bring the programs that SBA offers specifically and intentionally to the 2.5 million membership across this country. Now, you don't do it at one time. You don't need an elephant in one bite. So the first bite, the soft launch, is here tonight in Opa-locka. The big bite will be in about a month and a half in Atlanta. We will have a national launch in Atlanta mid-December. And then hold on, because we're going to make some changes, going to make a fundamental difference. We're going to get down on a community level, district by district, across this entire country. And we are going to enable the members of the D9, and not just the members, but also the community at large, with specifics that have not been communicated in the past on access to capital, banking and financial readiness, specific opportunities if you're a woman looking to go into business, if you're from the rural communities, if you're a veteran. So many resources that the SBA is the gatekeeper for, that for so long has not been at the forefront of all communities across this country. So I'm excited to be here. We're going to get into some 101 tonight about what SBA does. We're not going to try to boil the ocean and go into everything SBA does. But if you're interested in starting your own business and you want to understand how to get access to capital, if you want to understand about government contracting and what that's all about, there are real people that can help you walk and navigate through that. If you want to understand the intricacies about being bank ready and allow to go through the lending process and align you with financing opportunities for you to launch a business that you can scale, that is what tonight's about. And post event tonight, we're going to point you to other virtual events where you can get certifications, and the journey begins. So without any further ado, we will enter into this journey tonight. And thank you for being here this evening and the start of something very special for the D9 and also for the SBA and for many communities across this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I'm going to introduce our next panelist and speaker. Mr. Warren Miller is the Senior Advisor for SBA Office of Disaster Assistance. Prior to the SBA, Mr. Miller served as a key policy advisor to the FEMA Administrator and Vice Chair of Equity on the FEMA National Advisory Council. Mr. Miller recently served as the State Campaign Director for Mississippi for the Biden-Harris presidential campaigns, and previously served as the Chief of Staff for a member of the United States Congress. As a small business owner, he led the implementation of technology infrastructure systems and E911 radio communication systems onto a statewide communications network for several municipalities. Mr. Miller has also been recognized for his service on various boards and through awards, including serving on the board of directors of the National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. He is a life member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity and a recipient of the Elder Watson Diggs Award, the fraternity's second highest national service honor for a member. He was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame of his alma mater. I introduce to you Mr. Warren Miller, Senior Advisor, SBA Office of Disaster Assistance.
Well, good evening. This is a special moment. You know, when I first took the presidential appointment, went to DC, had the opportunity when I was working with FEMA for us to talk about the D9 Day. And when I got to SBA, I had the privilege to meet with Alan, and this got triggered with the relationship that he had with Chris Ray. In a very short time, the effort of this initiative took off. We were privileged to have all of the we had 7 of the 9 presidents that were with us in Washington, D.C. to sign this historic agreement. This is the first of its kind. This is historic, and uniquely for Opa-locka and for you all, we have the privilege to be for the launch. I'm going to take a point of personal privilege, being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Being that this is a D9, I'd like to ask all the members of our D9 family to stand up and be recognized, please. This is a beautiful piece to see the members of our D9. For those who are not familiar, we've got members of Alpha Phi Alpha, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Delta Sigma Theta, Omega Psi Phi. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. I see my sister from Sigma Gamma Rho, my brother from Phi Beta Sigma. I do not see any of our brothers from our last, but to have the members of the D9 to be with us on this particular occasion is special. So I want to extend a moment of gratitude and thank you for being here. I did call. I apologize, ma'am. No. Alpha, let me go back. Ma'am. No. Out of deference, ma'am, we want to recognize, if you'll please stand. We do want to acknowledge all of the members. So if it was oversight, it was oversight. We would like to recognize the members of Zeta Phi Beta sorority, please. I apologize. So my role this evening is with regards to disaster. And you always say, well, what does disaster have to do with it? We'll connect the dots in a second. But being that I'm in the Office of Disaster Assistance, our mission is to connect the individuals, businesses, small renters, homeowners, and nonprofit organizations in time of disaster with disaster lending. Recently, the state of Florida was impacted by the hurricane, and as you all might not be aware, as of today, we've extended over $500 million in disaster loans that's been given out here in the state of Florida. With that, the process is when a declaration happens, a president makes a declaration and declare in the state, the Small Business Administration, we are in collaboration with our relationship with FEMA. When the disaster recovery centers open up, the SBA, or the Small Business Administration, is a part of that process. So individuals that go into a disaster recovery center and register with FEMA, they may be referred to the SBA for disaster lending. As a result of that, if we say to individuals, well, FEMA gives out grants, the SBA gives out loans. Normally in the disaster grant amount is the maximum probably is about $34,000-$35,000. Whereas the recovery piece for helping individuals in their recovery and the SBA in the area that we deal with regards to businesses, the lending of those that may be impacted, loan amounts could go up to $2 million. With $2 million that's backed by the Treasury. So this is not through a bank. It's not a grant. It is a loan that can help individual businesses that have been affected with repairing or replacing their businesses, replacing equipment, equity, or what we call working capital. If the individual businesses are affected, you can get working capital up to $2 million to assist with from an economic injury piece. For homeowners, our programs are homeowners, the loan amounts can go up to $200,000. For renters that may be affected to replace property, those loans can go up to $40,000. Additionally, for homeowners, for replacement of property or what have you, that additional $40,000. Some of the things that we want to make sure from a disaster The access piece is with regards to registering with FEMA. In many cases, to get access to the SBA loan product is going to require that you register with FEMA by going to the disasterassistance.gov site. You can do that online. An additional resource that I want to make those that are in the business area is FEMA will open up what's identified as disaster recovery centers, and we'll have staff in those disaster recovery centers to provide assistance. Additionally, we have what's identified as business recovery centers. These centers are SBA specific centers. They tend to stay open longer. They are separate from the locations that the FEMA disaster centers are, and they will allow for and focus on business. Unique opportunity right now for our underserved communities. We have the opportunity to establish, and if the disaster recovery center is not convenient or local or located where it's accessible, is that we have the ability of creating what we call mobile disaster recovery, mobile business recovery centers, where we can take those centers into the community and provide those particular services. Connecting the dots, when we talked about what does disaster have to do with regards to this topic we're talking about tonight. In a minute, you'll be hearing from my colleague that's in our government contracting. When disasters happen, they create enormous opportunities that we want to encourage for people. That Florida is in an area that have disasters that happen here more frequently than we might desire. But looking at the people that can participate in the process of helping with what that community recovery looked like, we're basically encouraging that as a part of our colleagues that's here talking about what those codes are, what those types of businesses are, and what those opportunities are that disasters create that lead to business opportunities that in many cases that you all can take advantage of. So with that, on behalf of our D9 family, I'm honored and privileged to be with you. We want to thank our D9 for being here. I want to do a special acknowledgement while I'm at the podium. I've got a colleague and a friend who is the area coordinator, and Miss Kimberly King, who is a member. I would like to recognize and thank her for what she is doing. She is providing leadership over the 8 states in the region, and she's been a good friend in helping with this particular effort. So with that, we'll be around for questions. Thank you all again for being here, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Follow-up question for you, Mr. Miller. As Senior Advisor in the Office of Disaster Assistance, please tell us about SBA's role in disaster response and what declarations are needed to receive SBA's assistance during disasters.
As mentioned, once the president makes a presidential declaration is what triggers the SBA's services for the disaster piece of it. With that, as I mentioned, having individuals to apply with the disasterassistance.gov, we want to encourage for you to make that application, because not making the application could put you in a situation whereas it will turn off other. So applying for that, and then secondly, the loan that we talked about is that we're encouraging that individuals, you don't have to take the loan, but we do encourage that you apply for the loan. As I mentioned, for a homeowner, one that I did not give you, these are very, very, very low interest rates. Right now, the business interest rates is the business interest rates are at 3%. A home interest rate, if we think about what's going on, the federal for homeowners right now as low as 2.18%, and for nonprofit organizations at 1.875%. These are at very low interest rate loans. So we're encouraging that individuals apply for the loans. You don't have to take the loan. The other piece is that you don't have to take the whole loan amount. You could use that loan for deductibles. You could use that loan for, the relocation, improvements on your particular property. So at those low rates, these are not through the bank. This is backed by the US Treasury from the federal government.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. Our next panelist, Ms. Carol Thompson, is the Area Director, Office of Government Contracting in the Atlanta Office of Government Contracting. Ms. Thompson and her team cover the 8 states of the southeastern region. She previously served as both the Director of the Office of Management and Technical Assistance in SBA headquarters and the Assistant District Director for Entrepreneurial Development in the SBA Illinois District Office. She has over 38 years of contracting and business development experience and has served as the National Program Manager for the Mentor Protege Program. Ms. Thompson started her career in 1984 at Warner Robins Air Logistics Center, purchasing spare parts, helicopters, missiles, drones, and refuelers and loaders. All right, Ms. Thompson. At the end of her contract specialist negotiator experience, Ms. Thompson was responsible for a $6 billion program. She holds a Master of Public Administration and has completed courses towards a second master's in Procurement and Contracts Management at the Florida Institute of Technology. Ms. Thompson is also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the National Association of Female Executives, and the League of Women Voters, and a host of other organizations. I present to you Ms. Carol Thompson, Area 3 Director, Government Contracts.
Now, you know I'm the fun part, right? Y'all know that, right? Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you all for coming out. We're so excited to be here, and we're so excited to present this initiative, this strategic alliance, and this soft launch, because you all are some of the first to hear about it, to receive it, and to experience it. So consider yourself lucky. Now, I would be remiss if I did not give you some government contract stats, but I'm gonna give them to you to make you happy, not to bore you, okay? These are gonna make you happy. First, I better put on my glasses so I could see. All right. I just want to give you just a few stats. I'm not gonna give you a lot, but guess why I'm giving you these stats? So you can know how much of the piece of the pie you are missing, okay? I just need you to know that. The federal government exceeded its small business contracting goal for the 9th consecutive year. That means my team, my bosses, headquarters, the administrator's office, we are so on point, we don't know what to do with ourselves, okay? Awarded a record-breaking $154.2 billion in prime contracts to small businesses. 27.23% of all federal small business eligible dollars were awarded to small businesses. Small disadvantaged businesses received 11.01% of all eligible small business contracting dollars. That's the highest percentage ever. And the 62.4 billion was the highest amount ever. Over 65,000 small business prime contractors received awards, averaging $2.2 million in awards per firm. So are you ready to listen to my stats now? Do you want a piece of that federal pie? I know you do. And we're here to help you get it. Just to give you the big picture, there's been an unprecedented amount of spending and shifts in priorities that have generated unprecedented prospects for small business. So let me tell you some things. Federal procurement is a stable and growing market, and you all need to know that. Advancements in procurement policies are opening more contracting opportunities for firms. Made in America is prioritizing U.S. spending at home and industries dominated by small business manufacturers. Growth in remote work capabilities has opened up opportunities to service the government beyond our traditional borders. The conclusion here is there's never been a better time for a small business to consider federal procurement as a market segment. There's never been a better time than now. I just want y'all to know, I'm so excited. I done mixed up my papers. All right. Okay. Just to show y'all, the demand for small disadvantaged business contractors is definitely rising. The executive order on equity is driving agencies to prioritize diversity in procurement. What does that mean? That means it's good for you, it's good for me. We're here to help you get some diversity in procurement, and you're here to help us with the diversity in procurement. So it's never been a better time for you to be in federal contracting. Separate data has been published in component parts about it. Agency action plans have been developed. Individual agencies, all of them are issuing their own equity plans, and procurement is number 1, 2, or 3 among their priorities. Agencies, in other words, breaking it down into terms you and I can understand, layman terms, agencies are looking for qualified small disadvantaged businesses, okay, to do business with. I have talked to Althea Harris, the Deputy Director for our South Florida office, and she is going to make sure that you all get a copy of these references I'm getting ready to mention to you. Our socioeconomic programs, and where you can do certify for 8A program, because we are looking for you to get involved. We're looking for you to make the money. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of the 8A program when you can get set aside contracts? Why wouldn't you want to be a part of the Women-Owned Small Business Program? They have set aside. Beta.certify is where you go to look at the eligibility requirements and to fill out your requirements. The Hub Zone program, the Mentor Protege program. You all, as you heard in my resume, I got to stop for 1 minute and give you all a little ad about the Mentor Protege program, because that's my baby, okay? When the Mentor Protege program came out, I implemented it after the regulations were written. So that is my baby, but it might be your baby, because you need to know that if you have a mentor, it enables you to become eligible for contracts you couldn't touch on your own. Okay, so Althea is going to talk to you about that, but I'll be back. Trust and believe, I'll be back to help you with a little bit of that. But just look into our Mentor Protege program and into our 8A program so you can see how you can get a piece of the pie. You might think you're too small, but you really aren't. Not if you partner with another firm, okay? And you will be surprised at the mentors that are looking to partner with you, because they'd rather have 49% of something than nothing. All right, so let's get it together. All right, and I've given you a list. Well, you can find all of this on SBA's website. Don't forget to go to www.sba.gov and go to federal contracting, okay? The area directors are there. All of us are there, everybody. I'm area director for Area 3, but there's actually 6 of us, okay? And we have a whole staff of procurement center reps, COC specialists, and procurement center representatives and size specialists. So we've got a team ready, willing, and able to help you. So if you need help with any problems that's contractual in nature, go through Althea and she'll get to me and my staff. All right? Okay, so we have some other resources like the Association of Procurement Technical Centers Assistance Center. Let me just say this, I'm not, just standing up here giving you all names. These are people that are really, really able to help you. With anything you need, loan applications, putting together proposals, SAM.gov, SBA Dynamic Small Business Search, SBA Subnet. That's something else I'll be back for out there to tell you about it. Prime and subcontracting relationships, okay? You all need to know that you can get subcontracts for just as big money as primes, okay? All right, so don't forget that. Don't kick that one under the rug. All right, so Web Federal Logistics Information Center, GSA Advantage, USA Spending, but we'll make sure that you all get copies of those. Oh, bless you. Okay. The government contract that we are doing initiatives to focus to help you. We want to reduce consolidation and bundling being done by agencies. So we're working to help you in that agency. Increase awards outside of concentrated areas. Increase the footprints of our small, disadvantaged, and women-owned businesses. Increase the number of new entrants to all our programs. Increase the federal government, small business, industrial base. Increase counseling and technical assistance with a focus on events and sessions for you all so that we can help you. Again, I thank you all, and I want you to know that we are truly here to help. It's not just a saying that I have. I heard somebody say it was, but it isn't. I know which one said it too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thompson, for all that valuable information. I have a follow-up for you as well. Ms. Thompson, you gave us a lot of information. So give us some top lines of contracting programs that you help oversee and facilitate.
The government contract, let me first delineate for you. There's a government contracting program and there's a business development program. So it's called GCBD for government contracting and business development. The government contracting, we help you find and get government contracting opportunities. Our business development division helps you to develop your business and to get larger, to do whatever you need to do to become bigger and better. They also have all the socioeconomic programs, the women-owned small business, the 8A, the Hub Zone, all those programs are under our business development division. So our government prime contracting, we do everything that you need. If you have a problem with an agency or a contracting officer, we have procurement center representatives, also known as PCRs. They will come and they will help you. You go to Althea and she'll tell you who your PCR is if you don't already know. We're also listed at www.sba.gov. Click on federal contracting and local resources, and you'll be able to find your procurement center reps, okay? As well as your area directors. We do what's called a COC program. The COC is a certificate of competency. That is actually when an agency says they don't want you, they're not going to give you the contract. And we say independent analysis says you may. Okay, they have to come through us before they could deny you that contract. And if we find through an independent analysis that you are good for that contract, they have to give you that contract. Okay, so we working for you all the time. We never sleeping. Size program. Somebody wants to, question your size of your business. Size determination is done by size specialists. Those are also in the area offices. So we do everything you need. We help you with forecasted opportunities. We help you with everything. My partner here, Althea, is going to be telling you all about that. I'll be back.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thompson. All right, our next panelist, you already heard from him, but I'm going to do a formal introduction. Mr. Alan Thomas is the Southeast Region 4 Administrator. He will oversee SBA programs, offices, and operations in the SBA Southeast region, serving Alabama, the great state of Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Mr. Thomas is a former three-term mayor, businessman, entrepreneur, and leader in public and private enterprise. As mayor of Greenville, one of North Carolina's largest cities, Mr. Thomas led the post-recession recovery, rapid expansion, and robust economic growth, better connecting the city and the region. He was recognized by the White House during the Obama-Biden administration for community engagement in law enforcement and public safety. As a serial entrepreneur, Mr. Thomas co-founded healthcare technology startup IQ Max, which grew to service 160 medical facilities in 36 states, processing 18 million patient records per day. Can I get a job? Education is not like it used to be. Okay. Mr. Thomas was appointed executive director of North Carolina Global Trans Park by the governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, to revitalize the state's global multi-model transportation and logistics hub, spearheading growth in advanced manufacturing jobs, innovation, and investment. I present to you again, Mr. Alan Thomas, SBA Region 4th Administrator.
We could have skipped all that, but we're here to talk about the good stuff. I'm here to talk to y'all about access to capital. Isn't that where it all really begins? All of us could have the best idea in the world, but we got to be able to fund it. We got to be able to make that happen. And that, my friends, is the core function, one of the core functions of what SBA really does. But one thing I want to say to all of you, take good notes, but you don't have to absorb all this. We know you're going to hear a lot of acronyms, a lot of programs. And as I mentioned before, we're not here to boil the ocean and try to do everything that SBA does. There are 4 or 5 core programs that we're going to talk about here. Take a few notes, and then you can go to sba.gov. And after we finish talking, you got resource tables in the back that are you going to be able to ask more questions. And when you leave here, understand, as we said, this is the soft launch. Make your list, your Christmas list. What are the things you have an interest in? And then follow up with us. And we'll hook you up with a human, somebody that you can talk to, some retired executive, somebody from the Small Business Development Commission, anybody that literally help you. You go in there and say, I have no idea how to write a business plan. I don't know what a cash flow statement looks like. I don't know any of that. I just know I got a good idea and I work hard. That's all you need to know. That's where SBA picks you up and takes you beyond that. That's what we're here to do. You don't have to have a PhD, an MBA, or a whatever. You just need to have an interest and willing to work and willing to collaborate. And I think that's what's really important. Everybody in this room and everybody watching online needs to understand. So I just want to throw that out there. So yeah, let's talk lending. As we mentioned, I am an entrepreneur. I've won, I've lost, I've sold. I've done a few of those things, but much of it began, the company she mentioned with IQ Max began with me walking into the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and saying, how do I put a business plan together? Right. And I had a few friends and we put together that business, put together some software, and, you know, the rest was history, as they say. There's no limit in this country if you can get access to resources. And honestly, it's up to you. We are here tonight to tell you that. We're intentional. We're measurable. We want to look back in 4 or 5 years and say in Opa-locka that how many people that were at that first meeting or in that circle, in that sphere of influence, in that force multiplier, that you learned something here, and in 2025 or 2030, that it was generational wealth changing, you know, for you and your family and your community. Isn't that what, that's why we're here. So understand you don't need to know it all tonight. So let's talk a little bit real quick about what we do, our core products in lending. So SBA in itself, other than the disaster piece, is not a direct lender. But what we do is we work with community development corporations. We work with banks and financiers that enable them. We backfill their risk. Otherwise, they would never lend to a lot of people in this room. They wouldn't have lent to me 20 years ago. They would not have done that if not for the SBA backfilling, and we're the ones that cover that risk if for us, they're allowed to be able to go to smaller businesses with different backgrounds, with better terms. Otherwise, that you not have to show up with as much collateral and all the things that otherwise you would have to do. Therefore, small businesses would never have access to capital. And that's what we're here to be able to combat and be able to challenge. Now, Althea is going to have some numbers on Florida on lending and about how much money, has been lent in the state of Florida traditionally. We know that SBA lent, let's see, let me pull this number up real quick for you. In the South Florida district alone, which is Althea's region, the SBA supported 2,805 loans for $2.5 billion with a B, with the programs we're getting ready to talk about in fiscal year 2020. Fiscal year 2022 lending numbers are also very strong, 2,289 loans for 1.8 billion. So that's what we're talking about. But you don't need necessarily that. You might need 3,000. That we also talk about that. So traditionally, over the past 2 years, this office is accountable for close to 57,000 jobs, good paying jobs based on funding and putting people in the small business to work. So South Florida supported just shy of 130 million in the last 2 years in African-American owned businesses in particular and specifically. There are over 3 million small businesses in the state of Florida, and small businesses are 99.8% of all businesses in the state of Florida. So that's where we are. Almost 385,000 are Black and African-American owned businesses. So we need the money to catch up with the numbers. That's what we're about, and that's what SBA is about and why we're here. So let's talk about a couple of programs real quick because we only have a few minutes to do this, and we'll get into the more detail as you sign. If you sign up for these programs, hey, these are free programs to learn. Who wants to learn for free is something that could change their life and change their family's life. That's what we're all about. So the three big programs I want to talk to you about, the one is we call it the SBA 504 lending program. And that money, again, you would go to a traditional lender, they will be backed by SBA, and we'll tell you about how you can connect with those lenders too here in a second. The 504 program and the CDCs work with those, again, acronyms. Those are used more for land and building purchases, for building enhancements, for construction, long-term machinery, equipment, things of that nature. I guess the limit is 5 million per loan on that, but it doesn't have to be 5 million. It could be whatever makes sense. This might be something that's the catalyst for you to be able to move forward in that business. Like traditional loans, there are some collateral, but the terms are much better. The length of terms are much longer, and obviously the interest rate and amounts that we have with SBA are much more stable for you to be able to access. So the other major loan program that we have is the 7A program. 7A is really a phenomenal loan program, and I'll tell you why. It's very versatile. I mean, you can use it to pay for cash flow, payroll. I mean, what do you need, to be able to get your business to grow, to acquire another business, to be able to expand to another location? So long or short-term working capital, purchasing inventory, construction financing, buying equipment, fixtures, furnishings, all this stuff. A lot of what you do in 504 you can do here, but much more flexibility. You can refinance prior debt that you had on your business with 7A. So a lot of flexibility, with these loans. Again, 5 million, is a cap on that, but there are other opportunities depending on what LLCs and what businesses you have. So again, longer terms, pretty structured interest rates on that as well. And the third big program I'll mention to you briefly is the micro loan program. Now, these loans, as I mentioned before, could be as small as $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. It caps at $50,000. So this is something that we're able to provide to allow businesses to start. I can count on many hands people that I've spoken to. They didn't need $1 million. They'd have got themselves in trouble with $1 million. All they needed was $20,000 to buy some inventory or some product or some paint. I mean, and these aren't always sexy companies. These could be cleaning businesses, landscaping businesses. The government needs that too. And this money, let me add, is not just for government related. This is private industry. Any pitch, anything you want, you can come in about any type of business and SBA and be able to get access to these funds. So the micro loans are very important. Also, we do something called lender match. We found out, particularly during PPP, well, we didn't find it out, it just exposed it. it exposed the fact that the underserved, whether you're veterans, women in business, minorities in business, rural areas, did not have the banking relationships. So when that PPP money rolled out, guess who was last in line, right? So the people who needed it the most, that were living on the edge, didn't get it initially, but we were able to go back and tap the brakes and make some adjustments on that plan, and brought that back and actually reclaimed a bunch of that initial PPP money that the massive corporations didn't get it, and got it to the smaller businesses. And so just saying that to say this, lender match. We're going to show you, if you'll let us, we'll walk you through how to put a business plan together, how to put a cash flow statement together, how to talk to a bank, be bank ready. And that's important for disaster recovery and everything else. If you don't show up on paper with IRS, guess what? It makes it harder to be able to help you. So you got to plan for the long term. I had side hustles. We've always had side hustles, but at the end of the day, you got to be building something that you can hand off to your kids and your grandkids, generational wealth and opportunity. The SBA can put the stamp on it and help you do that. So again, specific programs, the 504 program I mentioned, the 7A, micro lending and lending match. And there's other nuances of these programs that I know Althea will get into you, but the call to action here is, as we've mentioned before, SBA.gov, and on the SBA.gov website, every state has its own sub website. Each of these programs, you can go in there and read about it. There's phone numbers on there. You can, write this down too. The SCORE, SCORE. These are one of our resource partners. They're not here tonight, but you'll get to them later. They're here they're retired executives. They walk through the Rolodex, show you what mistakes they made, what they did well. You have the women in business centers, which are here in Florida and all over the country, that don't just work with women, but a lot of women-owned businesses, but others. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7 local trusted community partners, our community navigators and others. We'll get you the name of real people, real folks that you can go meet with, and they'll help walk you through the steps of getting you into the program. And it's good to have so many wonderful, I know we got the Black Chambers here, and we got so many wonderful partners that you'll meet, Minority Supplier Development Council that are also here as well. But what we want to do is get you to sign up. We got your information, and just like getting you don't learn the Bible in one day, right? We might start at Genesis, but we got a long way to get all the way through to Revelations. There's a piece by piece that you have to learn. So we're going to help you do that. We're going to walk you through and get you where you can sign up online or come to events like this and get your certifications so you can compete for these government contracts. You can get the loans to do your own private businesses. So my role here in this particular segment of the program is just to explain to you a little bit about the loan programs that are there, and that give you just enough to get you interested to learn a whole lot more. So thank you for your time. I hope you're taking good notes, and we're here for questions, obviously, as we get you through to the next stage and for Althea. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I have a follow-up question for you as well. You did give us a lot of information, but I understand that you and Mr. Miller have been instrumental in setting up and levering your relationships to not only make this day happen, but in securing the agreement with NPAC. Access to capital is so important in the underserved communities. Talk to us about SBA's role to access the capital, which you did, and please give us some specifics and speak to capital readiness.
Well, we talked a lot about the different types of programs that we lay out. And we mentioned some of this earlier, Mr. Miller, wonderful man. It's great to see the enthusiasm. Here's the one thing I want to say. While we are partnered with the Divine Nine and the National Panhellenic Council, this is not limited to NPHC. Anyone and all are welcome to be a part of any of these programs. It's just that the NPHC is a trusted partner in this endeavor to make a meaningful difference across communities across this country. And I am proud to sign my name on that and be a part of that. But I will say this, with SBA, prior administrations, prior folks, there were programs, but the analytics were not always captured, right? So what we want to do with this program is we want to create a capstone project around this. So as each of you sign up, maybe we'll work with an HBCU, maybe we'll work with another university and get funding behind that. That we want to be intentional to show Did you stick with the program?
Mhm.
Did you graduate from some of these, certifications? Did you create real wealth and create change? Did you bring others in based on, because we want you to be a second generation, a third generation entrepreneur, right? Knowing how to put the resources together.
Mhm.
So a big part of this is long after Warren is gone, Carol's gone, I'm gone, 3 presidents later, we want this program to not just endure, but to thrive. Because as they say, when you eat the seed is gone. When you plant the seed, you live forever. So we're here to plant a seed with this Divine Nine SBA co-program on economic readiness and be able to move this thing forward and with our programs. And we want to be able to come back in 10 years and say we've done something that's meaningful and made a difference.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. Our last panelist, Ms. Althea Harris, has been helping businesses her entire federal career, which began in 1993 at the United States Department of Commerce with the late Secretary Ronald H. Brown. There, she traveled worldwide to support small and medium-sized exporters. Next, she helped small business owners compete for federal contracts while at the U.S. General Services Administration in the Office of Enterprise Development. Having held several positions within the SBA in Miami since 1999, Althea now serves as the Deputy District Director overseeing a staff that implements SBA's mission throughout the district's 24 county territories and advocating on behalf of the estimated 2 million plus small business owners. She is responsible for the daily operation of the district office in Miami and 2 alternate work sites in Tampa and Fort Pierce. Althea is also the Faith and Community-Based Initiative Coordinator for the office. A graduate of Howard University and the University of Miami School of Law, Althea is also active in her community. She currently shares her time and talents as the board chairman of Greater Miami Youth for Christ and chairman of the Board of Trustees of Christ Journey Church in Coral Gables. A Washington, D.C. native, Althea shares her life and love with her husband, their 4 wonderful children, and their Rhodesian Ridgeback. I got it. Rhodesian Ridgeback. I got it. That's a dog. I got it. Welcome, Althea Harris, SBA South Florida District Deputy District Director.
Thanks so much. Please be thinking of your questions because we do want to answer some of those for you. I have the privilege of working for the SBA for 23 years, and I love it. And, I love it because I get to work with entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I think you all are fascinating people. I'm married to an entrepreneur, and what I love about y'all is you make something out of nothing. You take an idea, which is abstract, and you make it real. And you create jobs that sustain our communities, that make families grow and prosper. I think I have the best job on the planet. And so thank you so much for being here tonight, for sticking with us. I am local. And what I am very pleased to say tonight is that with this event, SBA is demonstrating, we're not just talking, we're demonstrating our commitment to our equity agenda to ensure that everyone has access to our programs and services, which can really propel your business forward. And as Alan Thomas said repeatedly, create a legacy that endures for not just you, but your family and your children's children after you. So I wanted to also add that Montez Diamond is here from Atlanta also. She is our new regional advocate. So she is going to be coming back to South Florida, she promised. And in her role as the advocate, she is an advocate. She works on behalf of small businesses to make sure opportunities are available for you, that government is not so onerous for you, beating you down with paperwork. Thank you, Ms. Diamond, for that. And as Carol talked about in February, we're working really hard to put together an event that's going to be meaningful for people who want to access the federal marketplace. It is an over $800 billion marketplace. And as Carol mentioned, the federal government is interested in doing business with small business. Why? Because small businesses are doing innovations that we care about. You all have the expertise, the agility. You can move faster than bigger businesses and offer us high quality products and services that we need. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that she was here as well. And so they've all given me a whole bunch of assignments, which I gladly accept because it makes my life and work very interesting. I did just want to share with you briefly, because again, as I said, we do want to get to your questions. But when it comes to financing your business, sometimes SBA is criticized, saying, oh, y'all aren't giving loans to people. That's not true. Friends, I have data. I have proof. And since October of 2020, height of the pandemic, through September 30th of this year, only in South Florida, not talking about North Florida, that's everything Orlando and up, right? Not much up there. But down here is a very dynamic small business market. And to people of color, SBA has backed over 3,400 loans valued at almost $2.5 billion. And that has supported over 32,000 jobs. It's jobs that sustain our communities and nothing else. There is nobody putting more money into economic development than the SBA. I defy you to find someone, a federal agency, anybody putting more money into economic development than we are, because it's small businesses that are the drivers of our economy. If you don't believe me, go check back in 2008 when we had a recession and all those businesses were closing down. High unemployment, because small businesses hire over half the workforce and they create over 2/3 of all new jobs. So you all are very important. I want you to know that the data supports those facts that I'm giving you. So hooray for you. You're why I get to, why I get so excited about my work. Now, I'm going to close up with making sure that you know who's here at the back of the room. We have George Ray, who is from the Small Business Development Center at Florida International University. They do an amazing job, y'all, of helping small businesses. Listen, if you have questions, they have answers. Let me just put it that way. You have questions? How do I do this? How do I do that? Where can I find my customer? How can I keep my employees? How do I finance this business? I want to grow. I want to go and export my products or services overseas, but I don't know how to do that. Where do I start? Do I sell in Jamaica? Do I sell in France? Do I try to sell to the Chinese? They can help you with all of that. What's important for you to know too is it does not cost you money. It does cost you time and effort, which is pretty much the same thing as saying it costs you money, but it doesn't cost you cash, right? So please talk to George before he leaves and you leave. And we also have Gina Ortela here today she's right there at the Miami-Dade Chamber. And listen, our partners are so committed to you. The president of the chamber is here, Eric Knowles. Matthew Pygott is here from the chamber. They are part of our Community Navigator program, where we are really making an effort to not just be up here, but where you are in the community. And so they're part of our Community Navigator program. There are 6 other organizations, community-based, that are affiliated with the Community Navigator program. And I did not get your name, sis, before. Huh? Moya? Hi, Moya's here from the Florida State Minority Supplier Development Council. They are a 7J contractor with the SBA. That means if you want to learn about federal government contracting, how much should you price your product? What is an RFP? How do I get into that marketplace? That's what they do. Again, all high quality, no cost to you. You've already paid for that in your taxes. So please don't leave. Oh, mhm. Okay, so I'll repeat what he said. The SBDC is partnered up with Wells Fargo, which also has pumped up, what is it, $10 million into small business lending, in particular in Dade County. 20, see, I'm short and change in Wells Fargo. I'm sorry. $20 million to ensure that, grants and loans. There you go. Now you know. See, aren't you glad you came tonight? And so he's saying that there's going to be a workshop webinar, you said, on Wednesday. Oh, in live and in person. 6:30 p.m. this coming Wednesday. Where is it? Oh, at the Betty T. Ferguson in Miami Gardens, right next door. So how can they find out about that, George? Where can they sign up or?
You can see me after the program, or you can go to SBDC's website and contact someone at the office. But it's going to be this Wednesday, which is next week, at 6:30 p.m. Betty T. Ferguson Center in Miami Gardens.
Awesome. Thank you, George. So those are your hot tips. Listen, we're committed. SBA is committed. So if you're here in South Florida and you want to connect with us, please, reach out to me, reach out to the folks in the rear. We're here. We want to help you. We like what we do. We like what we do, and I hope it shows. Thank you so much for being here.
A lot of information this evening. So we actually have come to the close of this portion of the program. But before we take questions and we let you visit the resources in the back, I want to first thank all the members of the D9 again. So please stand up again, all the members of the D9 organizations who are here. Thank you. And we're going to invite you after we close to come up and take a photo, all D9 members. So thank you so much. We want to also thank the mayor, Veronica Williams, and the great city of Opa-locka for allowing us to use this beautiful facility. And of course, the Small Business Administration team who is here tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. Great information. Y'all can do better than that. They gave us really good information tonight. When Ms. King reached out to me again, we're gonna go. I was excited because they wanted to do the launch here in South Florida in our community to impact our community and the businesses here. So we are so thankful, and I'm one proud president tonight. I am very proud. So thank you for coming. Thank you to our audience for coming this evening. Again, do not leave without speaking with our experts, without visiting the resources for tonight. So thank you again and have a great rest of your evening.
If all D9 members could come forward, we want to take a picture. We're going to send this to the administrator. This is a historic launch happening, so we want you all to join us up here.
Thank you.